This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. That means they go through every car. Eases the buying experience. Great service department, whether it happens to be quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, they handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. We now bring in the wealth of knowledge and an even better guy, Nate Bauer.
Oh, wow. So kind. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, as a matter of fact, sir. Nothing like a coordinator search to juice up the fan base. How fun a ride has this been?
We are having so much fun. If you haven't subscribed to Blue White Illustrated, now is the time. All the nuggets, the juice on our message board. Check us out.
I'm sure it is filled with incredible speculation. There are names on there that you probably never dreamed you'd think of.
Speculation? Steve. You know me better than that.
I said there are names on there that they're throwing at you that you're like, really?
Yeah, look, it's been some twists and turns. I mean, I think let's put our cards on the table. Penn State took a shot at D'Anton Lynn, a proud son of Penn State football, who James Franklin did not dance around at all, right, leading into that game. Mm-hmm. How invested he has been in D'Anton Lynn, right? Yep. It's actually really funny looking back at the quotes of Franklin's press conference going into the USC game. His first line, he goes through the offense and the defense, and he was like, the defensive coordinator, Dan Lynn, who we know very well, right? Yeah. And then maybe 10 minutes later in the press conference, like, James, you said you know him very well. What's your relationship like with him, blah, blah, blah. And James's answer was, I don't know him at all. I don't know him at all. We don't know each other professionally. But I keep tabs closely on Penn State guys, right? People who have been in the program and are having success. And obviously D'Anton has had that. Didn't work out, right? Shortly... within the time frame of Penn State's interest in him, it was reported that he signed a contract extension. Improvement, right? Extension to his deal with Southern Cal, and so he and his family will be staying there on the West Coast. But it's one of those things where when you're covering a coordinator search or even just a position coach, it doesn't really matter. The key to keep in mind, I think, that maybe fans don't understand sometimes is the ride is always moving, always, for everybody. It's moving for Penn State. It's moving for the candidates. There is no – James Franklin has laid out in the past that, he has a list, right, of people, the short list of guys who he would be interested in for every job that there is available in the Lash building, okay? But their availability and the way that it works, it not only does it change from year to year, it can change from day to day. And so you're constantly trying to, keep that list updated, but also understanding that guys are going to be interested, they're going to not be interested, timing of taking other jobs, right? Guys who would have been interested had they not recently signed a contract extension themselves, right? All of those things come into play, and it's just a tough thing to balance, but also one where I think people's perceptions are that if you miss once, that's it. It's not. There's you can be patient in this process and kind of let things play out and try to organize yourself as best as you can and get the best guy into the best job.
Well, if there are dominoes in all this, let's give you a professional domino today. Aaron Glenn took the New York Jets job. Okay? So he's leaving the Detroit Lions as their defensive coordinator. Well, that means, what does that mean? Well, that means that the Detroit Lions need to hire a defensive coordinator, and so do the Jets. Okay? Yep. So I mean, there's a domino effect to all of these things that come up that, James anticipates all this stuff. Everybody knew that Ben Johnson, who went to the Bears, and Aaron Glenn were going to get head coaching jobs. Okay? But it creates a domino where now suddenly I need this guy, I need this guy, I need this guy, and now all of a sudden all the pieces on the board start moving again. Yep,
and it's constant. It has been that way right for a couple of weeks, and what makes it interesting to me is the timing of Penn State having such an extended season throws off by 6 weeks. Right. What would otherwise be the normal rhythms and cycles of this thing. If you look back at when they hired Manny Diaz, when they hired Tom Allen, when they hired Andy Kotelnicki, all of those were December hires, right? The early to mid-December hires. So, the fact that Penn State played into January really kind of upended that, and it changes the cycle a little bit and who's available, who's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of it. We talk about NIL. We just saw a couple of really good examples, and a third example in what was seen from Penn State in the last couple of weeks. What NIL and or the money coming from the athletic department once the April 7th deal is approved can do to roster retention. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's a combination of the two, but heavily weighted toward rev share. Right? You have this pot of money that wasn't previously available that you now can direct toward the retention of your players. And certainly there are parallels. When you look at Ohio State and just the wealth of recruiting that, right? I mean, they were so good. They have had such a run of high-end recruiting 4- and 5-star kids. Penn State's not that, but at the same time, there is no denying that the best pieces, the highest-rated recruits of the best class, right, in terms of a recruiting cycle that Penn State has had out of the past few, are all back. Right, they're all sticking around for Penn State. Nick Singleton, Denai Dennis-Sutton, Drew Aller, Katron Allen, right? Like, these are guys who are Zane Durant, right? Like, go down the list of those 2022's class guys. They're all coming back for the most part, and it gives that. Look at the blueprint. Like, it's out there. Michigan in 2023, Ohio State this year. If you can make it, if you can incentivize remaining in college and giving it another go to your best players, all of whom have experience, you set yourself up really, really well for success. And Penn State obviously heavily invested in its players to bring a lot of those guys back.
All right, so this is what I find interesting, because we're going to see how Linda McMahon, once she is confirmed as the Department of Education secretary, cabinet member, I'm sure it's going to have to come up because the Biden administration guidance in the final 72 hours of the administration said that the $20.5 million was going to have to be split between men's and women's sports because of Title IX.
Mm-hmm.
With all due respect, I always thought Title IX was about opportunity, and not that's how I always viewed it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I didn't think it had to be a 50-50 split, like financially, the way, and I think that's something that's got to be brought up, because you and I both know of the $20.5 million. Let's just do a roundabout area. 15 to 17 million, depending on which program it is across the country, who's going to earmark it for football.
Yep. Another 2 for basketball, at least.
Yes, right. Yes.
I mean, I'll be honest with you here, and politics is not my game.
I got it.
Reading courts' opinions is not my game, and certainly that includes the Supreme Court. What I will say is I have doubts about even the House settlement standing up to the rigors of judicial tests. Right? I mean, the whole system, everything that is proposed, yes, they're proceeding as though those things will come to fruition, but this idea of being capped on what you can make or how you can capitalize on your name, image, and likeness is not there. Right? I mean, it's a 9-0 decision saying that you can't prevent somebody from maximizing their potential. And so, I think that there is a bunch to sort out. And the caveat to all that is all of these schools, including Penn State, have I want to call it a plan B, but I would say workarounds.
Right, they do. That's what people don't realize. There are end runs here.
Is legally required to split evenly.
Right.
$20 million. It's just not. It's not what it is. It's not. I don't even think women's athletics has an expectation of that. Certainly, you're going to see tests in courts around the country to the ins and outs of all of this as they try to settle on something, some type of system. But that's not going to be what it is. It's just not.
No, there are end runs. There's no way. But you'd rather just do it directly than having to do an end run. I mean, it's easier for everybody. I know you don't follow court cases, but I'll give you one. There is a court case in Oregon, and you know which athletes challenged this? It was the beach volleyball team and the club rowing team.
Yeah.
Right. Over here in the back. Really?
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. Okay.
It just certainly everybody has a right to be heard, and the challenges can happen in court, and those things will all play themselves out. But the words that I use, and I think that when I say it, it comes across as flippant. But I like to describe it as money laundering, and the mechanisms are all in place for everyone to do that. Right? You don't have to have the athletic department itself make payments directly to student athletes. Every single major university athletic department has a collective at this point. Every single major university athletic department has major sponsors at this point. Right? There are ways to either get the money off your books or never have it on your books in the first place, so that it is not coming out of your budget, right? And so yes, I guess legally you are cleared of those responsibilities, but in practice that's not how it works.
All right, so let's I'll get on to basketball here in a second. Let's just have a little bit of fun. Texas Tech loosely revealed what they wanted to do before the the Biden administration's guidance. Okay. So football, they were going to do 69% as their average percent of attributable revenue. They were going to take 74% of the money and give it to football, $15.2 million. Men's basketball, they get 17% of their attributable revenue, so they're going to give them 17 to 18% of the projected revenue, which is $3.48 to $3.69. Okay. Mm-hmm. Women's basketball, 2.6%. They were going to get 2% at $410,000. Baseball, 4.9%. They're going to give them $389,000. And I think women's soccer and women's volleyball were going to get $840,000 to $1 million. Everybody else was going to get zero.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just telling you what Texas Tech, what they put this out, what the original plan was, so everybody understands. Because, they don't have wrestling. They have men's track and field, cross country, women's softball, women's soccer, women's volleyball, men's golf, women's tennis, men's tennis, and that's all we got. So there you go.
Yeah, Penn State's got 31.
Yep.
But of those 31, an oft-discussed point is 3 finish the year positive, right, in terms of money that they make. Yeah. So college athletics is look, there are
and one of the three is not wrestling. One of the three is not wrestling, which baffles people.
Correct. When you spend as much as you do to win all the time, yeah, you're going to operate at a loss, especially when tickets are $15. Right.
I just want people in seats. I don't worry about that part.
Nor should you. It's. I've always compared it to an Oscar winner.
Right.
Right. Oscar winners don't make money in the box office. It is not the summer smash hit. That's not the point. The point is prestige, outreach. It is something for your mantle. It is excellence personified. That is what the Penn State wrestling program is. There is no shame in that. It is
absolutely.
It is excellence. You ride that as long as you can and you want to.
Absolutely.
But
I completely agree.
Football and men's basketball are, along with a small revenue from men's ice hockey, are the only programs that make money. And so this is the overall challenge and the overall, right, like, where does it all boil down to? It boils down to the fact that college athletics is a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry, right, in bed with higher education. And it's only applicable to 2 sports, men's basketball and football. And so what is the role and relationship of taxpayer-influenced, right, higher education, academia, like the highest pursuits of intellect that we have in this country? Why are they associated, and what is the connection? What's the relationship between them and football, entertainment football, right? And so all of those things are so far down the rabbit hole at this point that it's hard to untangle them, and I think it's a constant struggle for people who are in positions of power and stakeholders to address the issues as they are right now rather than what they should be in the first place. Yeah. And that's where they are, and until those are untangled, it's going to continue to be that.
Basketball needed a win on Monday night. They got it. Nate, the timing couldn't have been better. What were your thoughts on watching it?
Yeah, desperately, right? And almost didn't, right? They got it to 2 a couple of times there after Penn State had a 10-point advantage with 4.5 to play-ish.
Yeah.
So Rutgers has a phenomenal freshman in Ace Bailey, and I
in
think
the wrong league.
Yeah, right. I think that the curious thing to me is 2 technical fouls really upended all of the momentum that Rutgers had to threaten to steal that game. And I don't think it's wrong to suggest that Ace Baldwin partially baited him into at least one of them.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah.
Like this is senior veteran genius at work to know time and place, to know how to handle your emotions, to be able to manipulate a younger guy who was fired up in the moment in a hotly contested, highly competitive game. And so Penn State, Mike Rhodes said it last Friday, he had some frustration at how Penn State was finishing games. You and Dick pointed it out the other night after the last loss that they had, I think, at Michigan State, how close all of the losses were absent the Illinois game. Right, all of the losses that Penn State has had this season have been relatively low margin, single digit margins, and so Rhodes has been frustrated that they haven't closed out games the way that they wanted to, and they almost didn't again on Monday night. But they responded and got it done, and they desperately needed to.
Yeah, no, they did without question. I know the Yannick foul meant something. I'll tell you what, the turning point of the entire game for me, Rutgers was up 53-50, and Martini came down the floor and just fired up a 28-foot shot, which he missed. Yep. I looked at Dick. I said, mark it down. There's the turning point. And then they ran off 11 straight. Again, sometimes you do something that is out of the realm of what you're supposed to be doing, and he did that at that point. I saw Minnesota almost lose the game last night because of the same shot.
Yep. No, it's look. Penn State's going to be in a bunch of these types of games, and you would expect or anticipate that due to the veteran leadership that they have and the guys that have been playing ball for a long time, that they would be in a better place to weather some of those situations than they have so far this season. But I do think a lot of the I don't want to say fan sentiment of giving up on this team or whatever. I just think this is too good of a team. All of the analytics, all the metrics say that this is a good team that will continue to be competitive, even though I do think it is a major loss for them to be without Puff Johnson for, quote-unquote, a while from Mike Rhodes. It's still a team that's positioned very, very well to compete really here through the rest of January into February. You're
the best. I know you don't want me to say that, but you do like the fact that I think that.
I like it. I appreciate it. Coming from the best, it means more.
Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you for thinking that. Hey, my friend, thanks so much. Appreciate it. I know there's a lot to cover here. Man, at some point, and I noticed they're not playing this weekend, so I'm not all that concerned about how long it takes to get a defensive coordinator.
That's correct. It'll be fine. It'll all work out.
It'll all work out. Nevada's not for a while. Hey, thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Nate Bauer.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.